because of the niece and nephew.
Well, everybody else is talking about it, though, so surely it's come across her plate at some point.
Agreed. But I think it could be also that he's also trying to seek redemption from Connie in some sort of way, that she knows that he wants to think something else happened to him. It could be something like that. Or it could be because of his diabetic state. I don't want to speculate, but maybe it's Connie trying
That's
to...
why we're here, Chris. Speculate away.
No, maybe it's because of his medical state that, she's trying to ease his suffering. Because when he gets under stress, he gets into these fits, these medical fits or whatever. So she's trying to calm him down by using that. But I saw the character of Connie to be somewhat devious and somewhat a little bit of Michael.
She definitely has the most to do of any of the films in this one, I think.
Yeah.
She was barely in Godfather 2, right? She shows up at the beginning, and she's like, I'm going to go off and marry this guy, and then she comes back at the end and says, sorry, take me back, I'm all in with the family, and, she kind of bookends that movie, but here she plays an integral role. And so, let me ask you this, when she gives Eli Wallach those poison pastries, like, were all of them poisoned, or was just one of them at the bottom poisoned, or what did you guys think? Because he makes her take a bite out of it. So
I think there was just one in the box. One cannoli, wasn't there?
I got a feeling there was two.
I thought there was more than one. I that's all I got.
I think it was two because he ate the one in front of us, so we think. And then maybe while they're doing the opera, he takes another one out of the box. That's my theory. Is that there's two.
I don't know, because I'm watching the movie, and I got the impression there was just one, and I'm like, man, this guy's taking a long time to eat this cannoli.
Well, that's why I thought there was multiple ones, and maybe they were just this trace element in one of them or whatever, but she took just the smallest bite because they know what's up, so.
Well, see, in the way, she just licked it. She didn't even take a bite. She just kind of licked the outside of it, But again, she played an integral part in killing her own godfather because of what he did to Michael. Mm-hmm. Like that's quite the turn for this character. And I like that. I think this character had a really interesting arc over the 3 films. And she was a real joy to watch in this one. I didn't like her in the first one at all. Right?
Really?
Because, I didn't like her in the first one. I thought she was over the top, but I really liked her in this film. I thought she did great, and I loved watching her.
Would you say over the top for Connie in the first one, or would you say passive?
Well, that scene when they're fighting and she's just always screaming in the movie. She's like, man!
Those were intense situations, man. I don't blame her for acting out.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I thought it was just, she was always yelling. She was always screaming. Like, every scene she was in that movie, she was screaming. And I'm just like, just put her out of my misery.
Well, a rare case of Francis Ford Coppola's nepotism casting working. Talia Shire, an excellent job. But let's talk about the other end. Let's talk about his daughter. Sofia Coppola is awful. She is a terrible actress. She's gone to be a great director. All credit where credit is due. She is an awful actress. And every scene she is in, she ruins it. And if you just, everything, like we've been saying, there's interesting stuff going on all around this movie, right? And if she had been played by Winona Ryder or any of these other actresses we were talking about or anybody else, I feel like this movie would be in a lot better standing with people because she sounds like she's reading off a cue card. She's got a blank expression. She is just awful in this movie.
She's fine. I don't know. She's not great, but she didn't take away from the film for me. That's all I got to say. I don't have anything to add.
She took away from me quite a bit. She took away from me quite a bit. You're surrounded by Al Pacino, Diane Keaton.
Yeah.
Andy Garcia, who is Andy Garcia, is excellent. Like, they could not have picked a better guy to carry on the legacy of this family. He is, from the minute he shows up on screen, he is A+, and he deserved that supporting actor Oscar, absolutely. But
I don't know. I think Rowan Atkinson would have been good in that.
Chris, where do you fall? What do you fall on Mary?
I'm along the lines with you, Zach. Again, it feels like she was reading off the cue cards. If she was reading at all, maybe a cold read in most of the whole movie. There was no emotion.
Yes.
There was definitely no emotion coming from her. I felt nothing but a blank stare I guess, coming out of her. And you're right, Zach. You know, you're the daughter of the director of this movie. Dad put me in. I have to throw my best foot forward here because I'm with a movie award-winning cast. You know, and I have to throw my best foot forward here. But like I said in last week's podcast, and I'll say it on this one here too, is that those who can't act direct. And there's nothing past that. You know, she's a great director, like you said, Zach. But as an actress, for her one time acting in this, cold reading the script, this is what threw me off in the movie. And this is why I say that the movie stunk.
Okay, like that's a pretty harsh. That's some pretty harsh stuff there. Like, so, okay, let me interrupt you there because I'm not going to defend the actress. I don't think she's great. Right. I don't think she's terrible. She's just there. So I can't defend her anything. You know, but Tristan Riddell, okay, that we mentioned earlier, he's like, I gave this movie 4.5, and the only reason I took a half star off of this is because of Sofia Coppola. And I'm like, okay, fine. You don't like the actress, and that's what took you away. I mean, like, but still, like, I don't think that her acting is enough to trash this movie.
Okay.
And I don't know. Like,
okay, no, I'll agree with you. I'll retract what I said. Sofia Coppola is not 60% or 60. I'll go with 60%. That's fair. 60% of why I don't like this movie. And I'll go into it in my final thoughts as we get along. Towards the final thoughts, I'll give you two topics of what I thought of how I saw this movie. But everybody else, if you look at it, was giving their best. I'll give it to Andy Garcia. I'll give it to Diane Keaton even. The writing was so spot on that for this character, Mary, like Zach said, any other actress would have read it totally different and it would have been more engaging.
It sticks out so much because everyone else is so excellent and she is so on the other side of the spectrum. Like, if it was more of a middle-of-the-road movie, it wouldn't stick out as much. She sticks out like a sore thumb here. And especially most of her scenes, or a lot of them, are with Andy Garcia. And let's talk about him. I get, like, his character and his performance actually makes me kind of want to see a Godfather Part 4. I would have been interesting to see how he kind of continues on in this role. I mean, he comes in, he's got his leather jacket, everybody's commented about it. Like, you can see how he's kind of rough around the edges when he first shows up, but as he gets tutored by Michael, he gets a little more refined. He gets more, like, his journey is like the micro journey, like a microcosm of Michael's journey earlier. And all their kind of observations together, and Michael kind of teaching him. And I love all the dialogue they have together, because he's like, never hate your enemies. It clouds your judgment, right? I mean, that's just good advice, right? So I think a lot of those other actors they considered would have been interesting to see, but Andy Garcia break out in this, and then he goes on to kind of play that same role again and again, like Ocean's 11, and et cetera, et cetera. So he's one of my favorite parts of this entire movie, his character and performance.
I think one of the best lines that Pacino gives him is the line that Marlon Brando gave James Caan in Godfather 1, which is never tell anyone outside the family what you're thinking. And that kind of reverts back to, or gives you a call back to the first one. And you see Andy Garcia's, like you said, transformation from Sonny to Michael. But my question still remains, would Sonny have made the better boss?
That's hard to say. Michael, more calculated. I mean, as he always would bring up in this movie, even like his temper is always what got Sonny at the end. And Vincent was able to control his temper, and become the Michael. So that's hard to say. I mean, Michael, I like how the movie speaks to. I mean, he's talking to Kay a couple times. He's talking to their friend from Italy who gets killed, the guy in the wheelchair. He's kind of trying to just understand. He's like, why do they love you and they fear me? My father was great. Why wasn't I? Like you guys were talking about earlier, like when he's talking to Kay and he's like, I mean, what was I supposed to do? My father was injured. I need to come in and help him. I mean, this was the life that was kind of thrust upon him, and he threw himself into it a little too much, obviously. But he does. I mean, he is self-aware about what he's done, and I don't know. You don't think. I don't think Sonny would ever take the time to stop and be introspective about that kind of stuff, and at least Michael is.
And the thing about Brandon, 1 second, just let me finish this thought. And the thing about Vincent too, is that it looks to me like he's been trying to get in to the family, although he is half Corleone and he hasn't had the chance to do it, or Michael hasn't acknowledged him enough. to be more an intricate part of the family. But I think with Michael's failing health, and the fact that he sees Vinny wanting to take over, wanting to reconnect, if you would say, with
the ambition,
family, makes him the better candidate, not just by blood, but by getting in, giving and accepting what ultimately would be the job.
Well, I think also that comes right after Anthony, his own son, wanting nothing to do with his business. I mean, it's because it's funny. Michael's own son is like Michael was when he was that age. Like, I want nothing to do with you or your business. I'm going my own way. And I like how they set that up from the very beginning. So he's like, well, I mean, I guess why not? Next guy up. You're kind of my nephew. Come in here. Maybe you'll be the next guy to replace me. So.
Mm-hmm. See, you asked a question there, Chris, that I want to answer. So you say, would Sonny have made the better boss? And I don't think he would have. Because if you look at this film, especially in this third one here, I really think that Michael Corleone was a good boss. Because we have that scene when he's trying to make amends with everybody, when he's going legitimate, and he's like, look, I've made a fortune for you guys. And here's a payment, here's an extra payment for all your investments based on how much time you invested. And they're all like, wow, this is like $50 million, or like whatever numbers they're throwing off. He's writing them checks for this extravagant sums of money. And so I think he was a very successful boss, and I think he was very smart business-wise. What he was not smart at was being a family man, or at least weighing and dividing his time between his family and his business, right? So where he failed and what hurt Michael Corleone the most was with his family and the loss of his family and why he couldn't keep his family. That's what the problem was. And that his father was able to keep a foot in both worlds, but Michael couldn't. So I don't know, maybe Michael might have even been a better boss than his father was, but he was definitely not a better father than his father was.
Well, and that's part of the tragedy, right? Because everything I believe he says, like, everything he did to kind of protect and preserve his family, but the power and control and all those things just got too big for him, the allure of that, and he lost the very thing that he wanted to secure, and that's the ultimate tragedy of this whole story.
Yeah, the ultimate result would be him living in his own loneliness. One more thing, Zach, when you did your trivia search, I don't know if this is the same actress, but was it the same actress who was in Godfather 1 that was in the beginning of the scene when they go into the party and it's Vinny and his mother?
Oh, Vincent's mom, yes, that was the same.
It was
that
the same
great
one, right?
I
thought it was
the same actress. They brought
I thought it was. That tripped me out for like a good 5 minutes. I was rewinding. I was pausing. I didn't get a chance to Google search it because I was too engulfed in writing notes.
So that woman was James Caan's wife in the first movie?
No,
James
Caan's.
So the one from the wedding that he took upstairs and was banging her upstairs.
Yeah.
The bridesmaid.
Because they called him They called him his bastard.
Right. I didn't want to bring that up or if I was going to bring it up, I was going to bring it up in that context of being the bastard child. But I wanted to know. I thought that was the same.
Jeannie Llanero,
yes,
with Lucy Mancini. She was in The Godfather 1 and Godfather 3. And and it's great to see all these supporting characters come back. Because you have the singer, right?
Oh
Frank,
Al,
the Frank Sinatra. Joey Fontaine.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the actor's name. I want to say Jerry Vale, but I'm probably wrong. It's him.
You have him. You have Michael's second-hand man,
Al Neri,
whose name he's back. You one of Michael's original bodyguards from Godfather 1 when he was in Sicily. He comes back. The same actor and everything. And I love that kind of continuity. These little it helps maintain the continuity of the world. Now I'll say this, like a deal breaker for me truly is the Sofia Coppola performance as Mary, but. Something that's not a deal breaker for me that a lot of people do complain about is the lack of Tom Hagen. Now, hey, you can see Captain Ransom from Voyager as his son. That's cool. But I don't necessarily feel his absence as much as other people complain about. Yes, it would have been great because part of the initial concept is like, we'll have Tom Hagen kind of be the informant because to kind of get Michael and they're battling each other because of what he knows and that would have been interesting to see. But I don't feel like we really missed out of some amazing story there. Did you guys? I mean, obviously it would have been great to have Robert Duvall, but